All right, good morning. So those of you that don't know who I am, my name's Devin Hugie. I'm blessed to be your Region 9 Director for the American Society of Healthcare Engineers. I also sit on the Advocacy Committee for the American Hospital Association and Ashe. And I work right here at Children's Hospital of Orange County. So I'm blessed to support the efforts that they're putting forth in Orange County in pediatric healthcare. So this morning I'm here in the capacity of providing you an update from Ashe. So with that, my other job is to get us back on track because we're about 20 minutes behind. So Ashe, the strategic plan. You know, there was a time when Ashe, let me say it this way. So a new president would come in, everything would change. So continuity wasn't probably at the best at that point in time with Ashe because goals would change, different initiatives would change. So with the strategic imperatives that we're going to go over this morning, that's providing Ashe as an organization is continuity from leadership change to leadership change. So we're going to go over some of those. So some of the strategic goals: regulation, reputation, and capacity. So regulation, our members, working in a regulatory environment based on good science, right? Defensible economics and informed policy making. So often in healthcare and what we do, some of the codes or standards or interpretations that we face may not always make sense, and we kind of wonder where those come from. I'm not going to provide you any examples because I'm being taped, but we all know what those are, and you guys can go ahead and figure those out. When we talk about reputation, our members, are highly valued in the industry. They're leaders in the industry. So Ashe has a good reputation. And with that, the Ashe membership is called upon to serve in various capacities when you look at legislation, when you look at regulatory compliance, and there's a lot of areas that we're serving as a membership to support healthcare and improvements as a whole. And then capacity. So our members, need to be nimble. They need to have their relationships. They need to have the resources to make the decisions that they need to make. So a lot of what Ashe is doing, I don't know if a lot of you have been to the website lately, but there's a lot of improvements that have been happening over the years to provide the capacity for you. The goal is, in effect, for us to provide you the information that you need, And you've got to remember, Ashe is at a national level. We're here today for the California Society of Healthcare Engineers, and that's your state organization, right? So when you look at OSHPD, you look at the local authority having jurisdiction, whether it be city, county, or state, that's where CSHE is there to support you. Ashe is there to support you on a national level. So when you look at NFPA, when you look at FGI guidelines, when you look, to CMS and some of the stuff that's going on there. So just wanted to point out that distinction between the two organizations because sometimes people are really not clear in the delineation between the two. So we talked about the strategic imperatives that support the mission and the continuity that provides. So strategic goals, they're long-term targets that are being developed. And then imperatives are short-term initiatives that support the strategic goals. So currently, those are member value, succession planning, sustainability, and commissioning. We're going to talk about member value. So member value, what is Ashe, what's in it for you is kind of the way I look at it. What does Ashe offer you as a healthcare professional? And, I can tell you Ashe offers you a lot. There's a lot going on at Ashe. So not only codes and standards, alerts and guidance, tools, templates, and other resources that are available, and various tools that are provided to you. When we looked at the waivers, you could go to the Ashe website if you were going to adopt a waiver, and everything was there for you. Just plug and play, insert your information, and away you go. The ability to have somebody or a resource available to you to provide that information to you, and then a process to hopefully help you get engaged so you're not trying to reinvent the wheel every time. Educational programming, there's a tremendous amount of educational programming available. Career Flash, if you're looking for opportunities within other parts of the country or within your own region, that's also available to you. And then Ashe Publications, which you can now earn CEUs through inside Ashe. So platforms for networking. You know, what I initially joined Ashe for was the collaboration, the relationships that I have built over the years with individuals that I can call upon with questions, I can send emails to. The listserv is that on a national level, right? The listserv, you know, is an awesome opportunity to put a question out there and get responses from all over the country. I will put the caveat out there of that you may or may not get the correct answer. And what I mean by that is codes and standards change from region to region, from state to state. So what applies in Florida may or may not comply with California, right? So if you're putting questions out there, just be cognitive of the fact that guys from where they're at in the country and the answer that they're giving you. You always want to do your due diligence in making sure and referencing that answer. Conference and exhibitions. You know, we have the annual conference and we have the PDC every year. And, you know, plug for the PDC, this next March, it's going to be held in San Diego. So if you're interested, it's just a short drive. And then the member directory. So we talked about collaboration, we talked about relationships. The member directory is another opportunity for you to look at that directory and see who's out there, who's available to you as maybe a resource. Maybe it's somebody that you've never worked with before, but it's somebody that you have the opportunity to reach out to. Advocacy representation. This is a big part of what Ashe does. I sit on the advocacy committee, and I can tell you that there's a lot going on with advocacy. Improving healthcare codes during development, working with CMS and the federal government. You know, a lot of the work and groundwork that was done in the 2012 NFPA 101 Life Safety Code adoption by CMS was done by Ashe, which we don't have a date yet, but it's coming soon. Working with state level and local decision makers, right? So Ashe is there as a resource. If we have issues in the state of California, one of the initiatives right now is the FGI guidelines, getting states to adopt those guidelines and look at those guidelines, because there's a lot of opportunity for us in that arena when you look at FGI. So if you have advocacy issues that you may have questions about or you want support in dealing with, Ashe may be a resource for you, and you can reach out to me directly. Recently launched Ashe resources. So we talked about CEUs in the Ashe magazine. The new searchable resource library, we are having some technical difficulties with that right now, but be patient with us. On-demand conference recordings from selected sessions. So this last annual we had in Boston, most of those sessions are available to you online if you attended. New codes and standard tools for the following NFPA 99 risk assessment, and so on and so forth. You know, relocatable power taps, that was another one that the tool was there ready for you at the Ashe website, and it's something we all struggle with. So, and we talked about the categorical waivers. Recently launched Ashe resources that are coming. So we're working on a new website, and that's happening anytime now. New education programs and content are always coming. And then the FGI Guidelines e-learning program is available online now. So if you want to become more familiar with FGI, then that would be an opportunity for you there. And the neat thing about that is you can do this on your time, at your desk, at your home, wherever you feel comfortable doing it. You don't have to have the expense of travel. So awards and recognition. You have various opportunities between the fellow status, the SASHE is the senior status, CHFM, Certified Healthcare Facility Manager, and Certified Healthcare Constructor. Awards are listed here. The one I'm going to point to is the Energy to Care Awards. We're going to talk more about that in a few moments. And then chapter level affiliations. You know, congratulations to CSHE as being a platinum affiliated chapter. Again, So once again, CSHE's obtained the platinum level status, but wait, there's an elite status, elite platinum status that's coming. So there'll be another opportunity for us to raise the bar one more level. Sustainability and commissioning. You know, when we talked about sustainability on the Ashe board, talk about opening Pandora's box. What does sustainability mean? And depending on who you ask is going to depend on the answer you're going to get. It's a very complicated subject, but we're doing our best to define that. And when we say define that is, you know, how that's going to benefit us in healthcare. One of those programs is Energy to Care program. How many are registered in Energy to Care? Does that count for all your facilities or just, oh. So Energy to Care program, if you're not familiar with Energy to Care, I recommend that you get plugged in with Energy to Care. It's an opportunity for you to benchmark the performance of your facility and kind of see where you're at. And there's an opportunity for recognition and awards. So all of us, well, most of us should know how challenging it can be to receive the Energy Star designation, but this program here, there's opportunities to get awards as quick as a 10% reduction in your overall usage, and that's national recognition. So it's a very useful dashboard. Encourage you to plug into that. Sustainability roadmap. The sustainability roadmap, if you're looking at sustainability and you're looking at various initiatives across the board, there is so much information on this site that it can be overwhelming. But I encourage you to at least check it out and start plugging in at a very high level. And to be honest with you, I found this overwhelming. So, but there's information on everything. I think, what I walked away when I first started researching and navigating this website was to figure out what I wanted to work on and then go here, get the resources, get information, and move on. Because if I didn't categorize it that way, you know how we get traveling down rabbit holes occasionally where there's just so many opportunities. Oh, I want to look at that. I want to look at that. So just be aware that there's a ton of information here. Ashe Sustainability Publications. Environmental Sustainability in Hospitals. The Value of Efficiency Sent to Hospital CEOs. So that was a brief that Ashe had developed, and through the American Hospital Association sent that out through the C-suite. The intent with that was to provide additional information on and opportunities with a lot of the hard work that we're doing in the facility side. When you look at sustainability and energy, a lot of us with our operating budgets, when you talk energy, you're talking less than 1% of that budget. So it's a blip, when you look at finance. But a blip, $4 million is a lot of money. Right? So if you had a $4 or $5 million budget, 10%, do the math, that's a lot of opportunity. So even though it may be a blip at a very high level, there's a lot of opportunity there because I truly believe that those dollars can be transitioned back into patient care. So a new quarterly newsletter, Healthcare Sustainability, and that's emailed to all members. Printed Sustainability Toolkit sent to all Ashe members in 2014. You all should have had that, and that's available online. And then Energy University, which is a partnership with Schneider Electric. So you have the sustainability website, and then Energy University provides education. So if you have staff that want to learn various aspects and receive education, it's all online. So you could basically set an educational plan for them and have them sit at their computer. Some of these modules are as quick as a half hour. Most of them are within an hour, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, most of those are, almost all of them are free.
They're all,
pretty much unheard of.
They're all free.
And the nice thing is you can take the test at the end, and also they have, you can print your certification for whatever module you decide that you want to look at. So it's an ongoing education. It's one of the best sites out there on the planet.
And my opinion is when you look at sustainability and you look at energy consumption and use, it has to be a team effort. It's no longer the director or the manager of the facility setting some goals and trying to achieve those goals. If you're not getting the guys that are on the ground involved and educated and up to speed on these initiatives, my opinion is you're going to fail. You're not going to get there. These are the guys that are doing what they do every single day, and they're trying to make people happy, right? So if they have a nurse that may be hot, may be cold, or a patient, they may be doing things in their normal operations that may be affecting the energy consumption of your building. And their intent is not to sabotage the process in any way. It's to make people happy, to make patient care comfortable, right? But sometimes by manually adjusting dampers and so on and so forth, they're doing that. But I think bringing it all back, to them so they have an understanding of cause and effect of what they do and how it affects the bottom lines, which ultimately can affect patient care on the other end by being able to save those dollars. So it's just another opportunity. And again, if you haven't looked at this, I encourage you to go on and take a look. We talked about the Healthcare Facility Commissioning Handbook. So, some of us, have opened new hospitals. And some of us have aging facilities. I've been at both ends of that spectrum. And I can tell you that, even when you get a new hospital, they can drift very quickly. Commissioning, continuous commissioning is a very important function that needs to occur. So this handbook will provide you a lot of information on how to build a program and how to sustain a program over time. Succession planning. You know, when we talked about succession planning on the board, I was given some numbers. I'm not going to reference those numbers because I don't really remember what they are, but I can tell you that the majority of leaders in healthcare are above the age of 55 right now. And it was way above 50%. It was high. And I was amazed. I sat back in my seat and I thought, wow. And what that tells us is that within the next 10 years, there's going to be a lot of opportunity in healthcare. Unfortunately, in healthcare, there's now becoming a career path to get here, but historically, a lot of us got to where we're at by accident or other ways, but there was nobody in high school career day going, I want to be a facility director. That didn't happen. There was no college you could go to and say, you know what, I want to be a facilities director. You know, you may become an engineer, you may have gone other routes, but there was no plan. So that's part of the succession plan. But some of that is to create internships, you know, to create interest in the field. So there are those working with high schools on career days, working with various colleges and universities, and I believe there's a presentation this afternoon to talk about some of those programs. Interns. So interns to provide support for your staff, and I'm guilty that I meant to go online last year and request an intern for this summer, and I got busy and forgot, but I am going online to request an intern. Why would we not want somebody to come to our hospital, especially when you're talking sustainability and commissioning, to help support us to do some of that busy work, create the spreadsheets, gather all the data, and I mean, why would we not want that? So it's an opportunity. And why would a college student not want to come to beautiful Southern California to spend some time, right? So look at those opportunities. It's available online. And then employers are seeing higher retention rates among those who started as interns, right? You know, I love what I do. I truly do. I feel blessed to be able to do what I do every day. And I know a lot of individuals that feel the same way. And what I see with these interns is when I talk to some of them in Boston is they get exposed to healthcare and they get I don't know if addicted is the right word, but they get the bug. You know, they get plugged in and they realize, wow, this may be something I want to do. This may be something I want to invest my time in as a career. So it's just another opportunity to provide the knowledge and experience of what we do to others that may want to focus and follow in on our footsteps. So the AIA, and this is the student challenge. So last year, you know, Purdue has a program. We talked about programs. Brigham Young also has a program. Those are the two programs nationally that are currently available. There's an AA program also available. But the students at these programs did what they called a student challenge. So they were given a set of criteria to go back overnight and create a space. And I'm going to tell you what an amazing job that they did doing this. I was really impressed. So one of them was one of the projects was a freestanding ER, right? Relative, right? And they went back and overnight, from a very high level, schematic level, designed a freestanding ER. So we talked about certifications, and these are some of the certifications that are available to you, and continuing education. Planning for the future of your facility. You know, hopefully we all have a succession plan, and if you don't, you know, that's what a lot of this is talking about, to be prepared. So getting involved with Ashe, you know, just like, you know, other professional membership groups, you know, we're asking you to get involved. If you feel that you want to get plugged into Ashe, reach out to me, and I'm sure we can find something for you to do. So Ashe does a lot. You know, we're working with NFPA, ICC, FGI, ASHRAE, and others, right? So this is just, you know, a few of the top ones. On developing, you know, up-to-date, scientifically based codes and requirements. So there's opportunities there. Ashe and AHA works with CMS and the federal government on the decision-making process, so they're advocating for you. Then we're sending alerts to the membership when new developments occur, so keeping you informed. The advocacy highway is a two-way, highway. It's a two-way street, no pun intended. But and that's, you know, Ashe getting the vital information to you, but also you getting that feedback and information back to Ashe. So these are CEUs at educational programs, you know, various modules that you can take. And I know I'm going fast. I'm trying to make up 20 minutes, so I'm trying to hit the high points. This presentation is available in your book. So we talked about the annual conferences. I talked about them a few moments ago. with what just happened, and PDC will be in San Diego this next March. And next summer, the annual's in Denver. So 11,000 plus members get involved. You know, I don't know, sometimes it's disheartening when you look at a group with 11,000 members and you see the voting. You know, I'm not going to tell you what the number was of individuals that voted in Ashe, but it was less than 20% of the membership voted. So, for president. And it's so easy to do. I did it on my iPhone at the annual. And the reason I want to spend a few moments and point this out is these are the individuals that are leading an organization that's providing, hopefully, a resource for you. So at the bare minimum, I think you'd want to take a few moments just to get engaged, figure out what their platform is, where they want to lead the organization, and if that's a good fit for you, right? So we had 3 candidates for president. They were similarly aligned, but they were very different when you look at a granular level of where they wanted to go with the organization. So I think it's important. It is it. So again, I'm a resource for you. My contact information is available on the Ashe website as it is on the Ashe website. If you want to get plugged in, I encourage you to do that. I have something else to go over. We're going to go over something else in just a minute. Any questions that I can answer on anything that I went over? I answered all your questions? That was awesome. Well, I'm trying to get you back on track. Well, a lot of this is stuff you guys already know. I'm just trying to hit the high points. I'm trying to fire you up, get you encouraged to go back and get plugged in. At the bare minimum, take advantage of the resources that are available to you online, because I truly believe with sustainability moving forward, it's something we all need to be focusing on. If we could reduce in these areas, then there's opportunity for us to hopefully not lose money in other areas, right? What was it, 2 years ago, it was lose BTUs, not FTEs. That's what everybody was running around saying. So I want to provide you one other opportunity. Has anybody seen the Focus on Compliance tool? Is anybody aware of the Focus on Compliance tool? Mr. Fox? So let me see if I can get to it here. I'm not connected to the network. So my hope was to bring it up for you. And
Can you use your phone? That's what Gary did in the last one.
Really?
Hotspotted it. Didn't work, but
I don't have the hotspot on my phone. It's a hospital phone. So let me tell you about Focus on Compliance. So Focus on Compliance was a collaboration. It was just announced in Boston, and this is the first month was in August and September. So it was just released. It's a collaboration between the Joint Commission and Ashe, right? So when George Mills and Dale Wooden from Ashe sat down and looked at opportunities for the membership, what they came up with was we seem to have this top 10 list from the Joint Commission that we continue to be challenged with as an industry over and over and over again. What can be developed to help educate the membership on those areas? So what was done was a collaboration between the two. It's called Focus on Compliance. You don't even need to be an Ashe member to access this. Don't tell anybody I told you that. But if you can access it from the Ashe website or the Joint Commission website, right? And what it is it's training and education. So this last month, it was on pressure relationships and who's struggling with pressure relationships. Anybody not struggling with pressure relationships in your building? So there's a lot of information there in training, and it covers a wide array of areas during the pressure relationship process, and it's 2 months. So they're releasing various aspects of that education at various times. So it goes from the psychometric chart when you talk about temperature and humidity, talks about pressure relationships. So as the 2 month period, it releases stuff. So it kind of wants to keep you checking back in and re-engaging. But there's a lot of really good information there for you and for your staff, to hopefully get the information that they need to do a more effective job, right? We're all struggling with these issues, and I do believe that some of your engineers may or may not raise their hand when they say they don't understand something. This may be one of those issues where you just kind of sit them down, walk them through this process, let them do the education, just hopefully to engage them.
yeah, I was tied it now to a leadership standard. So they've actually made a program in there that's supposed to be given to leadership, your CEOs, DONs, whoever they may be, and it has certain questions to start asking your facility directors on it. So not only do we have education part in it, they're actually educating the leadership on a standard that they may not know anything about.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty tough questions in there. So I sent it out to all my guys just recently, and it's something you should really look at, and especially the facility engineers that are in here right now. You should look at those questions and make sure you're able to respond to those correctly, because they even give you a question and what the response should be. So if you don't answer your higher ups the right way, they're going to have you. So take the time. It's an amazing resource that they're doing. I can't believe it's free, because Joint Commission doesn't do anything for free.
This they're doing for free. So in last month's CISHE meeting for Orange County, went through this live, right? So those of you that attended that meeting may have had the opportunity to go through that. We're also doing an education on it at the annual in Lake Tahoe, but do not wait till next April or May to do this. I think it's valuable that you get engaged. At least go on, plug in, and poke around, and look at opportunities to get everybody trained.
Each month, there'll be a new module that's released. So it'll be one per month, ongoing.
So, apologize. I just assumed I would have internet. So I was planning it. Any other questions that I can answer for you? Well, thank you for your time. You're back on schedule.
It looks like we're a little bit early, but we are. I think the next thing is the exhibit hall.